everyone, and welcome to Superheroes Speak, the interview series. This week, I am joined by Jim Ordolis
Yes.
and Roger Keel. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, the book you guys are working on together is The Sword.
Yes, that's correct.
What's the elevator pitch?
Sure. So the Sword is a Golden Age superhero from Ace Publications, and he first appeared in Captain Courageous Comics in 1942. That was number 6, and then he moved over to Lightning Comics, and then to Super Mystery Comics, where he was featured in Volume 3, Number 3, up to Volume 5, Number 3. So the Sword, what is he? He's a character who is kind of like, to me, he's like a cross between, well, he's a superhero, but he's also a sword wielding character as well. So that's something that I find fascinating. And he's also kind of a cross between the original Captain Marvel and mixed in with a little bit of King Arthur. And maybe you could even throw in some Thor, Donald Blake a bit as well. So you have a boy named Arthur Lake who pulls out the sword Excalibur, and he becomes this adult, the Sword, who embodies the personification of King Arthur and wields the mighty Excalibur. He has a sidekick. His name is Lancer. His ability name is Lance Louder. You can jump in, Roger.
No, you're doing pretty good.
And later on, they're joined by a wizard, Merlin, but his name is Mo Lin. He's a hobo who befriends the kids, and then he becomes Merlin the Wizard. So the three of them, they're like the Fantastic Three, and they go on different adventures, and they frequently battle against Faye Morgana, who is kind of like Morgan Le Fay from King Arthur Legend, and there's a couple of other villains that pop up here and there. There's one villain called the Genius, who's like a mastermind that shows up every once in a while. So yeah, I guess that's who he is. This is the book. So I'm just going to show this right here. Mm-hmm. This is Lucky Comics number 14, and it features the first chapter of The Sword, as well as some of their other characters, Beetle Girl and Spy Smasher, which is based on the classic serial. Luckily, Lucky Comics was really interested in publishing our story. Roger and I did that, and the idea was to kind of like revamp some of the Ace characters with some of the other superheroes. And I think I said to Roger, "Hey, what do you want to do with this?" And he said, "Well, whatever you want, Jim. Let's just see what happens." So I started submitting it to a lot of different publishers. We got rejected a couple of times, but fortunately, Michael Helmer from Lucky Comics, he really liked it. And he said, "Yeah, guys, go ahead." And he wants us to continue doing it as a series. So that's what we're going to do. So the way it works, they kind of have a presence on Drive-Thru Comics, which is a digital online comics. And they're in... each chapter is about 8 pages. And so, for example, like The Sword number 1 would be like an 8-page story. Actually, it's 9 pages, but normally 8-page story. And then number 2 would be 8 pages, and number 3 would be 8 pages. And at the end, it would be all collected together in a print format as well. So you would have 2 options, where you can just download it and read it in little chunks if that's what you want, or you can wait and get like the whole thing collected together. So
yeah. The idea from the story came from a number of years ago. I decided to do a new issue, volume 9, number 1 of Super Mystery Comics, featuring all the Ace characters and a whole bunch of really great artists, Rock Baker, a few others like that. I self-published it, and it's on Indie Planet if you can find it. And I asked Jim if he wanted to do a sword story, but unfortunately Jim was really busy and he couldn't meet the deadline at the time. But he did do it afterwards, and like he said, he shopped it around, and seems like Lucky Comics was interested. And I just sent him the script for chapter 2, and I'm almost got the script for chapter 3 finished. I got to take a bit of a break this coming weekend. I have to go out of town for a conference.
So, what was it about the sword that interested you guys to bring this character back?
When I did the story originally, it was part of, I did Magno, I did Vulcan, I did the Black Spider, and I did Lightning. And I said I needed one more character, so I did the sword, and basically just base characters. And I said, then afterwards, I was sitting back and reading my scripts and that, and when Jim said the first one was published, and he wanted the editor wanted to continue it, I said that'd be greatest if what we can do, if the plot that I have, the overarching plot that I have, which is going to take 12 chapters, is that a lot of ace villains will join together, as I call them the Legion of Order, because take off on
Right.
Nazis' New Order and everything else. And I'll bring in a couple of the other ace superhero characters that were around in 1943 when the story is taking place. Captain Courageous, Magno, and a few others. And then we'll wrap it up with a big chapter 12 would be a big all-out battle between the villains and the heroes. Hopefully.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think for me, the appeal of the character is that he's kind of a hybrid character, because he's kind of a superhero, but he's also kind of a sword-wielding, character as well. Kind of almost like a sword and sorcery kind of character, but he's more like King Arthur legend. So I like the aspect of combining those two things. And then when you mix in the idea of the original Captain Marvel, where you have kind of a boy and he's transformed into this adult superhero, that kind of appeals to me, because I always loved Captain Marvel, the original. Like, I was a big fan, and I think the sword has kind of a nice combination of all those things, And he's also a little bit of that Thor and Donald Blake, like in the early days, what Stan and Jack did when they had Donald Blake and Thor kind of switch places.
And
so that kind of appeals.
There's so many there's so many chances in the any future stories of incorporating more Arthurian legend into the stories themselves, like Kirby and Lee and Kirby did with Thor, bringing in all the legends. We can bring in, if it continues on and we don't go even get bored with it or whatnot, we can include a lot of Arthurian legends, Merlin or Molin. One of the ideas of in the future story is that he actually gets comfortable using the magic powers that he has. In the first, in some of the Golden Age stories, it's almost like he doesn't even know he has them when he does the different things. But he'll gradually become more and more Merlin, especially when he's in the Merlin guise. And when the sword changes to the sword, Molin changes to Merlin, or something that looks more like Merlin. That doesn't say the same hobo.
Right.
So I run with a whole bunch of different ideas, and half of my throw out.
Is there a Lancelot character?
Not yet. Well, Lance Lance is more like Lancelot.
Yeah, Lancer is kind of like, he would be the analog for Lancelot. So he kind of he has like a lance, like Sir Lancelot.
I am thinking.
Unless you want to expand on that.
I am thinking probably a future arc introducing a Guinevere.
Oh, okay.
Would be nice. Yeah, I would like that.
Which would somebody within the alter ego's age group, sort of the female Archie between the two male Betty and Veronica.
There you go.
You get what I'm aiming at.
Yeah.
So, Jim, you're an actor as well.
Yes, that's correct. I do. I got a lot of things on my plate. So I have a background in graphic arts. I've been doing it for many years. I started drawing comics when I was really young, and I got involved in acting uh, in my early 20s. And yeah, I've been pursuing that. And I just finished doing a commercial right now with a famous celebrity, but I can't tell anybody who that is.
Of course not.
Super C. So that's yeah, that's fun.
Can you
And
tell us the product?
no, unfortunately, I can't tell you. Maybe privately, I'll tell you, Roger, but I can't tell you anybody right now until it comes out. So I'm hoping it'll be broadcast all over. And yeah, actually, I was just auditioning actually today for some uh, various things and some voiceover work as well. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
I'm curious because we've got the big actor strike going on in the United States, but I know you're from Canada. How does that? Are you guys? Does it affect you at all?
Well, that doesn't affect me because I'm non-union, and our
Oh.
union here is called ACTRA, which is not on strike.
Mhm.
So it doesn't directly affect me, but I do support them 100%.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
I'm
but, it doesn't affect me directly.
I'm a strong union member because I'm president of my local, and I'm also on the board of directors of our provincial union. So
Mhm.
I support every union who's on strike.
Yeah.
And one of the things they're striking over is the use of AI, and wanting to not do that.
Yeah, like the idea there is that they want to kind of take for example, like background actors, you want to get their likenesses
Mhm.
and then, digitize it and then be able to use it whenever, forever, and without compensating them for that. So I don't agree with that at all. So, I think they're pretty legitimate. And a lot of actors are, they're like, we're not including celebrities here, but we're working just regular working actors. And,
Mhm.
they just want to have like their basic health benefits and stuff like that,
Right.
right? And most of them just make a living. So I think it's pretty legitimate. I mean, not including big time celebrities that make the 20 or 30 of them that make millions
Right.
and millions of dollars. And let's not forget the executives in Hollywood who make a lot of money. But yeah, anyways, I don't really want to get into all that.
Yeah.
But I do support them. So yeah, I want to talk
What
about comics.
what got you interested in doing comics?
For me, I started drawing when I was about 13 years old. Actually, even earlier than that, I remember my cousin copying a picture from an Avengers comic with the Vision, and that's when it dawned on me that hey, actually, people do that. Humans make these,
Right.
And then I said, wow, I want to do that. So then I just started like drawing from comics, and then I would get these sketchbooks and fill them up with characters and have these big battles with these superheroes and stuff like that when I was 13 years old. And I started going to comic book stores, and I picked up like trade magazines like Amazing Heroes and the Comics Journal, and realized there was like an industry, and there was people that made these comics. And that's something that I always wanted to do. I always had a passion for it, and I it stayed with me my whole life. So yeah, I love doing that. So like I went to art college, and I took fine arts and illustration. And then I went back and I went to animation school into cartooning. And then I took a at the time it was called Ty Templeton's Comic Book Boot Camp
Mhm.
by the Marvel artist and writer. People are
Right.
familiar with Ty Templeton. And that was an amazing, indispensable course on learning how to write and how to draw comics. And I think that I learned a lot about storytelling from that class. And I think that's my strongest point. I think my storytelling is the best thing about my work. And yeah, I just highly recommend doing something like that. So yeah, that's how I got here, and then I just started doing different comics for various indies. I met Roger online. I think we were both doing stuff for Jim Main Enterprises, and yeah, we just continued from there, and here we are now.
Yeah, I did a couple comic book stories on an article for Jim's We Love Monsters magazine. If you remember that one.
Yep.
And Jim Main is going to pop up because Jim was the person who published my first comic book story. I met Jim online. I knew him before that because I was doing some work for different fanzines and I always came across things from Jim that I ordered, and I still have them stacked around me, as you can see. So as for learning how to write, I was writing in junior high, short stories and everything else, and in high school. And then, of course, after high school, I didn't do much in the way of writing because I was too busy keeping a roof over my head. And back in the 1980s, Gene Keel of It's a Fanzine. I know you remember that fanzine from back in the 80s, the base out of Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
I started doing articles with them, and T.M. Maple. I did a few articles from fanzines he was involved in. And then after I got married and everything in the 90s, I slacked off a little bit. And then around 2008, I got back into writing some articles in different magazines. And I was chatting to Jim one time, and I said to Jim, I'd like to try a comic book story. I said, if I write up a script, I said, you take a look at it and see if you can publish it. And he said, yeah, good enough. He said, I got Fifth, Jim's flagship magazine, PPFSZ, and he said, Halloween is a Halloween issue coming up. He said, write me a story and let's see what it works out. So I wrote one called Ghost Dance, which I got an idea from sitting down one day watching a documentary on Plains Indians religious things. And Kevin David Haller drew it, and it's actually fantastic looking. He made my word salad look really good, and I went from there. So I did a lot of work for Jim Main in the Attic, Main Enterprises Presents. I did some work for Rusty Gillum in a book.
You know Rusty? I'm actually good friends with Rusty.
Yeah, I did a story in his retro. I don't remember the name of it now. Retro something book. It did a story of Jojo Jungle King in one of his issues.
Okay.
And then I did decided to self-publish because Jim started to slack off on his print issues, and I started an imprint called Stone Island Press, named after a little island offshore, and I published 3 issues of my own creation, a character named Jack Banyan, sort of a 1930s daredevil pilot adventurer.
Okay.
I did a funny animal comic, The Adventures OG Ferret. And then I did a first issue of a fantasy elfish kind of romantic one called Princess of the Trees. I had the second issue written, but I can't get an artist. The original artist has some medical problems and can't draw anymore. And then I did the Super Mystery Comics Volume 9, number 1, with I said Rock Baker, Tony Lorenz, Jack, a few other people. And along the way, I helped publish a comic by Jim, the Little Wise Girl and Other Stories. And then now it's The Sword. I'm also a prose writer. I published my own book. I published my own book of short stories. It's on Amazon. It's called Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
I have one.
Ta-da! And I've been writing for a magazine, or a quarterly magazine that was originally based in England. It's called Weird Fiction Quarterly, where it's all 500-word short stories. And the third, I'm working on. Well, I just finished up 2 stories for the the fall issue, which is a double size issue.
Was it
It's really fun to
difficult?
write a complete story in 500 words,
Ah, yeah. Was
which is
it
hard
was
for
it a
me
hard
because I'm
leap?
kind of long-winded.
Was it a hard leap to go from writing articles for magazines to writing comic strips?
Not really, no. I've done prose fiction stories before that never really got published, just for my own enjoyment mostly. So
Mhm.
once I got the format of how to write a comic script, that's it was easy just to write the story, any prose story, pretty much turn any prose story into almost like a comic book story. I have no idea if I'm doing it right or not. It just works. It seems to.
Right. So what's
And like Jim, I did act, but not in movies. I acted on stage for a few years ago.
okay?
I played a ghost.
Um, so so Jim, you went the traditional route. You went to school, learned art. Roger, you've been writing since high school, and kind of
You know, actually,
yeah. What's the what's something that you guys each can answer this individually that you learned along the way while working on comics that like surprised you?
people actually like what I do. I figured, I figured I was just beating my head against the wall, just doing it. But people seem to like what I do, and that really surprised me. And when you're not getting much in the way of money from it,
Yeah.
it's great encouragement to keep doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the ability to tell your own story and use it as a means to self express your ideas and stuff and get your stories across and having people appreciate that. I mean, that's that was the main thing. I think it's it's a wonderful feeling if when you can do that. If you need to have some kind of a creative outlet to kind of express yourself. And comics is a good way to do it without having to spend a lot of money as opposed to making films or something like that. So a comic book is a good way to get your ideas out there and have people enjoy them.
I have a bunch of comic ideas and story ideas just lying around, just deciding whether they're going to be a comic book story, a prose story, or if they're going to be lying there for the garbage can. I have no idea what to do with them yet. Actually, Jim gave me an intriguing offer a little while ago, and has to do a 15-minute radio play based on the sword.
Oh.
So I actually went online and found a few scripts. Most of the ones I found were half-hour shows, but I found a few lately 15-minute shows, and I'm just working on the format of how to do them and come up with an idea.
Yeah, so the opportunity came up through some acting friends of mine. They want to do a kind of an old-time radio version of The Sword. And so I contacted Roger and I said, hey, would you like to write a script? And I have actors who want to do it. So we're gonna try to put something together. I think the idea is we want to create some interest in the sword and create a fan base for him, because I really believe he's a really good character. And I think that that's something we want to do. And another thing that we're going to try to get done is we want to do a theme song. I have some friends that I know through music, because I also play music and I played in a band and stuff like that. And they want to get together and do a theme song for the sword. So you might actually see a sword theme song somewhere along the line as well. Probably heavy metal.
I'm a big fan of old-time radio. I have a huge collection of shows, so that part is not too bad. As for songwriting, I have tried. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument, but I love music.
Okay.
Please don't ask me to sing on your show, or probably the entire internet.
You never know. He might if you pitch it.
Yeah. Well, I can always use borrow from the Rocket Robin Hood theme song and do a sword theme song. that rhythm. Oh, speaking of my other book, I'm plugging myself shamelessly here today, but this is it. That's the spring issue, Weird Fiction Quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I think Jim knows Robert Sodaro.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Yeah,
Robert's a
Robert got
very
a
nice
story
guy.
in the book there as well. Bob
Yeah.
also did the production work on my book of short stories.
Cool.
I think if we're pitching stuff, I'd like to pitch something too. I mean, promote something. This is
Mm-hmm.
a magazine that I'm also doing some work for. It's called Dark Sister, and
Mm-hmm.
it's done by some of the people that work on Indelible Comics. Uh,
Okay, I
if you've heard
included.
of them. So the idea for this magazine is kind of like they wanted to get like something that was like the old epic and heavy metal, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
with like EC horror anthology, and it's filled with like amazing artwork inside by some really fantastic artists. So
Okay,
this
cool.
is available online through Amazon. And I'm in this issue, and I'm also in issue 12 and number 13. But there's 12 issues out right now, and they're all fantastic. So if anybody likes really good art, you know, likes that kind of like retro sci-fi, fantasy, horror, noir, kind of dark kind of stories, you
Mm-hmm.
should check this out. It's called Dark Sister.
I've
Cool.
also
So
I've also done some work with Indelible.
So I want to promote this too as well. This is called the Geek of the Gods by Ron Kasman, and it's available through Caliber Press. And I have a short story in here, and these are more kind of stories about comic fans and comic fandom. Thus, the Geek of the Gods, and it's a really really fun book,
Cool.
right?
Okay.
And there's a couple. Here. This is Jim Main's magazine that I did
Yeah,
the
that's
covers for, which is good. I did this as well, just kind
okay.
of doing some comedy,
You're
and
really
I did
busy.
some illustration for this prose book, like this
Indelible Pros, yeah.
yeah, the Indelible Prose 2 book. So this is all like a lot of the Dell superheroes and stuff like that.
Oh,
With some
okay.
really good artwork in there. So
Cool.
yeah.
Keeping
Oh,
busy.
and then the last thing is this is the book I did for Rogers imprint, Stone Island Comics. It's called The Wise Little Girl and Other Stories. It's based on a Russian fairy tale written by Stephen Withrow, who's a very talented artist. There's some
Mm-hmm.
illustrated poems in there. There's a story, a fantastic story by Roger Keel, I might add, that I illustrated about leprechauns. So if you like leprechauns, this is the book you gotta get this book, and it's available through Stone Island Comics, and you can get all of Roger's other work there too as well.
That's on any planet.
And it, yes.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we signed the podcast off by saying, "Don't let your cape be caught in the door," right? And that has become to mean, don't let any shortcomings or foibles get in your way of reaching your goals. So, what's something that you've overcome in your life to reach a goal?
Getting over my fear of so many things, and not being the shyness. I never really was that shy, but I always thought that everything I did, every story that I wrote or anything like that, was not good enough to be
Mm-hmm.
shown to anybody. And first go over that doing some articles, which weren't too bad. And then the first comic story that Jim Main published by me, that said, "Oh yeah, well somebody likes it, so I'll keep doing it, and maybe one of these days somebody either say, oh yeah, I'll keep doing it, or go away, you're useless." But so far, the go away part hasn't shown up yet. That's something I overcome, which is the fear of not thinking that I was good enough
Right.
to do it. But then reading some of the modern comics been out in the last 10, 15 years, I'm better than some of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just to add to that, I agree with what Roger said. It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like that voice in your head that says, you know, you're not good enough, you can't draw, you know, this person's better, that person's better, you know, and just being able to kind of control that and just go ahead and keep doing what you love doing, And if you have a passion for it, just pursue it. Don't let anybody or anything try to like hold you back. Just keep doing, learning as you go along, because there's no failure. It's just they're all just learning experience, and just keep going. That would be the best thing I would say.
I started off, almost all the stories I started off with were just one-shot stories. There was no continuing character.
Right.
Then I did a continuing character, Jack Banyan, which I created my own stuff. Then I started doing work, doing some other stories. Now I'm doing the sword as a continuing character, and that's something that I started from just a one-shot 8-page story to on, right? And the same thing with my prose work. I did some short stories that for different fanzines and that, and now I'm doing writing 500-word short stories that actually the last one I sent down, my editors really love it. So I said, that's great. And I got reviewed for the spring issue, got reviewed a couple of times, and everybody mentions my story. And that one is being different than the other ones. Mine was called Weeds, and it's about a guy who trying to get the weeds out of his garden. And it doesn't work that way. The stories all had to be weird, which conclude and everything, but mine was a bit of humorous one, a bit of a funny story, and everybody mentions that was way different from the other stories in the book, because the other one's more serious, dark.
Right.
While mine was weird, but it was funny enough and relatable enough that they liked it. So I said, great, cool.
What's a piece of advice you would give to a young person who wants to get into creating comics?
Don't stop doing what you're doing. Don't stop doing what you're doing. If it's something you love to do, keep doing, keep working on it, and somebody will give you a little break and getting it published, or you can publish it your own self, or just do it for fun. Don't do it because you think you're going to be the next Todd McFarlane or something like that. Do it because you're going to be the next Jim Ordolis or Roger Keel, who's basically doing it for fun.
Right.
So for aspiring artists, I would say the same thing. Just keep doing it, keep learning, think of it as a process, and enjoy the process, and just keep moving forward, because if you give up on your dreams are going to give up on you. Okay, so just keep doing it, right? That's the best thing.
I know Jim will probably agree with this. If you're an artist, look at the other artists, see how they've done things. Don't copy them, but get some ideas. And if you're a writer, read everything, fiction, non-fiction, whatever. Back to cereal boxes, just because you never know when a way a phrase is written or a way a paragraph is done that it'll stick in your head. You may not use the same words, but you know how to phrase a sentence or set up a action scene or something like that. And if you don't read, you're not going to know how to do that. So that's pretty much the simplest thing for a writer. Read everything.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah. Cool. So we're getting kind of near the end. I try to keep these around a half hour. But the most important question I always ask is, where can people find you and your work online?
Okay, go ahead, Roger.
Indie Planet for my own imprint, Stone Island Comics. You may have to hunt for them. I haven't published anything for a while. Amazon for my prose work, and Indelible Comics that I've done some stories for, and Weird Fiction. Also, Weird Fiction is going to be in Barnes & Noble. Jim Main's books are sometimes available from Jim Main Enterprises, but I don't think Jim has got many back copies left.
Okay.
So for me, the same thing. Indie Planet, you can look me up there, and a lot of my stuff is on Amazon as well. And now I believe you can get The Sword is available through Lucky Comics at Amazon, and the first chapter is available right now at Drive-Thru Comics, the digital version, and chapter 2 we're working on right now, so we'll have that available soon. So if you like good, fun, adventure, superhero, golden age style comics, and that's something you want to give a try, please do, because I think you're gonna enjoy it, and we're gonna work really hard to make it a fun book. That's what I want to do. So,
And I'll make sure I include the links down below for all that stuff.
Okay.
great, thank you.
All right, and then the question we like to end on is, how do you measure success?
I try to use a yardstick, but you know, I'm from Canada. Me and Jim are from Canada, so that's metric. So it's a meter stick. But no, I have no idea how to measure success. Basically, I thought it was really successful when I saw my name in print first time. That's gotten a bit. I still smile when I see it. The fact that some people like what I do. That's my measure of success. I'm doing something that people like. If people weren't liking it, I probably still write, but I probably wouldn't be showing it to anybody. But that's my measure of success, is that people like what I do.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually willing to go spend some money to read what I do, which is really surprising, but good surprising.
Yes.
How do I measure success? Let's see. $1 million in unmarked bills, maybe. No, seriously.
We're not supposed to talk about that. We're not supposed to talk about that.
Okay, sorry. We're not talking. Okay, no. Seriously.
Wait till I finish printing them first.
Seriously, folks, I think it's enjoying what you do, and if I'm having fun, then I think that's. For me, that's success. If I'm not enjoying it, then regardless of the money, what's the point? So it would be fun, having fun. How much fun are you having?
Right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will say thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this week.
No, you're quite welcome.
And to the audience, as always, thanks for watching. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.